So then I realized like shit, like I'm totally back. So then I decided to get some external help as well and really dig deep into this. Like, what is it? And I actually got shot back to some traumas from my youth where I was bullied and I didn't feel safe at school basically. So a lot of relates to that behavior, and now I don't need that behavior anymore, but I still have these thought patterns that I have in me because of things that happened in the past. So now I'm going through that and I'm aware of it, which is really cool. So my dad said to me as well, like, that means you are further than you were last year. But sometimes it feels like I'm not moving forward because I'm so aware and I know, what I'm faced with. So yeah, it goes up and down. So yeah, that's basically a bit of the story.
Such a challenging thing to deal with when you're aware. I think it's not always a good thing, you know? And you're explaining it perfectly right here. Like when you become aware, like you almost judge yourself too much, you know? It used to be the fear of other people judging you. Now it's your own self judging yourself. And it almost does the same thing to the mind, essentially.
Yeah, and you can see it happening. That's the crazy thing. I remember when at work something happened with the other colleague, not to me, and I was like, shit, now I need to watch out for work. Like that was my initial thought. I was like, wait, because something is happening to a colleague, now I have to be afraid for my job. I was like, and then I realized what I was doing to my mind. I was like, I immediately noticed it. So then you get kind of stuck in that, like, oh shit, this is how I see myself, and I never used to see that, but now indeed you're aware. So sometimes it feels like you're taking like 3 steps back.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, what they'll do is like, at least this is how I explain it. Like, you're worried about how you look, or at least most people do, and they worry about the others judging them. So, like, for example, say you have like a meeting or something, and you're just stressed out about how you look. Maybe you got a pimple on your face or just something like you're embarrassed about, right? And then you go into that room and you're fearing that everyone's like judging you. But in reality, they're all thinking the same thing as you, and they're worried about you judging them. And
Exactly.
that's kind of the messed up thing we do to our heads is we're all worried about what other people think of us. But in reality, they're all thinking the same thing. We're all worried about what other people think. So nobody's worried about you. They're just worried about themselves.
Exactly.
Interesting thing.
It's funny how it works, and even though it feels like I go 3 steps backwards with being aware, I know it's the first step to implementing that in real life to change that. Like the first thing to make that change is be aware in the first place. So even though it feels like you're stuck when you are being aware, it's the first step to recover or implement that in your daily life.
What would you think so now that you're self aware and like now it's kind of turning on you sometimes, what would you think would help combat that?
Um, Everything to not think, for me at least. Like when I get a
Yeah,
fear, I cannot just let the fear be there, but my mind is trying to explain that or play tricks to get out of that. So for me now, meditation, I kind of backed away from it a bit because I'm so aware in this period that I'm only using meditation to think of nothing and just to let go of everything instead of trying to sort things out. So I'm not reflecting anymore all day, every day, try to think because that's making things worse. Because now I know I'm making steps. I need to kind of let go of things and just do fun things. Do things I like, spend time with my girlfriend, watch a movie instead of just like getting crazy in my head. So kind of letting go actually of all that stuff I used to do in the past.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the key to it right there. And like, I say acceptance all the time because that's what it is. It's kind of accepting your reality and what you are and who you are. And a lot of that has to do with letting it go because you can't like stop these thoughts. Like you can't like push away fear. It's part of you. You got to let it in and then accept it and let it go type
It's
of
so
thing.
it sounds easy though, but so freaking hard. Like
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's ever getting it down. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I think it's just roller coaster of just sometimes you're good at it and sometimes you're not.
exactly. Like people say surrender fear. Like, yeah, fuck you, man. I'm gonna run away from this thing. Hell no. But it's kind of the way though. But you kind of have to
Yeah,
figure out how you do that.
yeah, and I think that like running away from anything that's a piece of you is just not good. I think confronting it is the best way to do it and then accepting it. And then that kind of teaches you to let go of it. At least let go of the thought that's holding you down. Realizing that, okay, fear is part of me. I got to just accept how I feel right now. Let it in, try not to push it away. And then once you realize that, it's like, oh, this ain't that bad.
Exactly.
That's what happens to me anyways.
And if you allow it, like I allow the fear to be here, then it's for 50% already all right, which is the tough part, to the allowance of the emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. Like that's kind of like I think the trickiest part of it all. And I don't know, I think you're just so right, man, where it just comes down to a fact of like we don't figure ourselves out. I don't know if we ever do, you know? And that's just such a big factor in my head because I just like that's the thought that will drive you nuts. It's like, why am I thinking this way? Well, you can just keep asking yourself these questions and then there's no answer.
True.